Hi all, it's me Gemma. Today I want to talk to you about some food writing. I've done some videos before on food writing, on cookery books, but obviously some new ones have come into my possession since the last time. So I just wanted to chat a bit about them, and obviously if anyone has any recommendations then I always love to hear them after this. I apologise if there's any dog noises. I have a puppy who is currently in her pen and she is not happy about being there, so I apologise in advance. So first of all, I want to talk a bit about The Art of Cookery Made Plain and Easy by Hannah Glass. This is billed as the revolutionary 1805 classic. It was one of the very first American cookbooks, and it was a bestseller in England and the United States. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson both had copies, and it has been translated for more modern audiences in this instance. It covers some things that, you know, we would come across today, like pistachio cream or cheddar or, let me see, lip salve. You know, lots of different things, and obviously some that we definitely wouldn't really be looking at. Like, not many of us would be roasting a pig anymore. I picked this up because it's used quite a bit on the James Townsend channel, and they cover what they call the sights and sounds of the 18th century, and they cover 18th century cooking, and they do quite a lot from this book. It's good because a lot of cookery books, probably prior to the 1800s and things like that, they weren't written with poor people or working class people in mind. They were records and lists of what chefs and cooks were cooking for big houses, for estates, for kings and queens, and so it wasn't concentrating on what people in the countryside would have been eating. So it's good to finally get an idea of what people were eating then in terms of, you know, working class people like you or I would have been eating. So I haven't actually cooked anything from it yet, but when spring comes I am going to try some of the jams, because there is a couple in particular to make syrup of peach blossoms, which just sounds really nice, and also things like, you know, some of the venison recipes I might try. We have some really good venison here in Scotland, so might give it a go. I got this one, I think, from Amazon, and I'll update you guys when I've actually cooked something from it, but it is really interesting just to have a look at. So this is The Country Housewife's Family Companion by William Ellis. It was originally published in 1750 in England and was a bestseller in America and in England. This one is laid out much as it would have been when it was originally published, and it hasn't been translated for the modern audience, so some of it might be a bit hard to understand. I'm looking at it just now and it's like, summer, make this paste in the morning with the freshest butter you can get and lay it in a cold place till you make use of it. In winter you must beat your butter well, otherwise it will be harder than your paste and break holes through it. Now, by paste I think you mean pastry. In fact, I think you do mean pastry. So I am also interested in seeing this one. And on James Townsend they cooked some sort of pancake type things that they made, and what James Townsend on the channel said was he found this really good for recipes that people might not otherwise think to write down because they were, you know, eaten all the time. Something like water gruel, like savoury water gruel made by poor people. Some put water, oatmeal and shred onions or leeks into a pot at discretion and boil them till enough. And that's the whole sort of direction you get. So I'd imagine that would be quite crazy making for someone that needs all the weights and measures and things like that. So Again, we'll see how this one goes, but I'm very interested in it. So now this one's a bit more narrative. This is Taste by Kate Colquhoun, and it's the story of Britain through its cooking. I picked this one up because I think definitely at the moment, and probably for the last few years, I've come across a lot of, you know, British food's really plain and blah blah blah, and to a certain extent that's true. I think gets a bad name from the sort of Victorian and Edwardian nursery food, and then sort of when you get into the 30s and 40s, you're dealing with rationing at that point, so it's never going to be that great. I strongly recommend, if you're interested in the history of food on television, there is the Wartime Farm series, also Back in Time for Dinner, and anything that Ruth Goodman does. Ruth Goodman is a historian and she's great. So this one I picked up really because I wanted to read about food prior to that time and how Britain was involved in the spice trade before that, when it was involved in the spice trade with the East and India and things like that, and how much of British trade was based, in fact, on how much they wanted those spices. So I don't know, I heard good things about it, and we'll see. I got this one second hand, so that was quite good as well. Now, on to sort of more modern cookery. I picked this one up just after Christmas, and it is Veganish by Jack Monroe. Now, if you keep up with food writing at all, you might have heard of Jack Monroe. She had a blog called A Girl Called Jack many years ago. She doesn't go by that now, however. And she specialised in recipes for people who were on very, very limited budgets. And she became involved in sort of the food writing scene, and she has written columns for The Observer. She's just been on television quite recently, and she's written, I think, about 6 books now, and all of her books do focus on things that are cheaper to make. And she did a book specifically called Tin Can Cook, which focused on recipes people could make with ingredients commonly found in ingredients you get from a food bank, which I think is just great, and she is fabulous. I picked this up because I have been cutting out an awful lot of meat and wanted to, you know, get some ideas for some more plant-based recipes. So something like cauliflower mac and cheese with crispy bacon crumbs, or risotto Milanese, sort of. Here we have candara, which I've never come across before, vegan ricotta. Yeah, and the good thing about this as well is you can buy her books, but a lot of her recipes are available for free online. She makes a lot of it available for free, which must cost her money, you know, because people might otherwise buy one of her books would, you know, be getting it for free online. So I do think she's great. I think her books are also good if you're just starting out in cooking, because a lot of her recipes are really simple. But I haven't cooked anything from it yet, but I do have plans to soon, especially the desserts, because there's like a vegan version of a Bakewell tart, which I think will be really, really nice. So I will let you know. Now, this one I have cooked from, and I will continue to cook from, and it is The Food of Spain by Claudia Roden. Now, I've spoken about Claudia Roden before, and I will no doubt speak about her again. She is an anthropologist, a food writer, a historian, and I love her books because they go into not only really amazing recipes, but into the history of the areas and why they have the cuisine that they do. So for example, in this book she has a large bit about olive oil, why olive oil is important in Spain, and she also splits it up by sometimes region. So simple things as well, like roasted peppers and aubergines, and then everything from there to like lobster. And you can tell I've got I had a bookmark in here at this meatballs with almond sauce, which I've made quite a few times. I love her books. They are a bit more expensive. I believe this one, let's see, this one was £25, but I think it's more than worth it if you're interested in the food of a certain region. And It's absolutely stunning, as you can see. Look at that, the foil on the front, and then the photographs inside, which are all, again, gorgeous. So if you want to know more about, you know, the actual history of a region and not just the food, then I recommend picking up her books. And she is also, I have one on the food of Italy and Jewish food as well by Claudia Roden, all of which I think are great. And I've got some other favourites lined up here in the back, which maybe you've spoken about before. I've got Simple by Ottolenghi Jerusalem, Florentine by Emiko Davies, and Fresh India by Mina Soda. I'm going to talk about those as well at some point, especially Fresh India by Mina Soda, because I've picked a few things from there and it's chef's kiss beautiful. So if you have any cookbooks that you've really enjoyed using recently, or there's any you want me to talk about that you think I would like, then please leave it below in the comments. Otherwise, I will speak to you next time.